What's up, everybody? Back with another season of professional picks. We got Sliwa. We're back talking about our week one picks for the start of this NFL season. We are pumped to tell you guys our analysis and our thoughts again this season. And of course, don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying the content. Subscribe so you can keep getting these picks and our other advice for fantasy, survivor, and all other things football. And then let us know in the comment section what you think of the video and what you're taking this week in NFL Week 1. Sliwa, we're starting out with the final game of Week 1, Monday Night Football in New York with Aaron Rodgers' Jets taking on Josh Allen and the Bills. What are your initial thoughts on this game? I cannot wait to watch it for one.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the game I'm most excited and looking forward to in all the Week 1 slate. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers' first real game as a New York Jet. So a lot of eyes are going to be looking at him and how he fits into that offense. I'm curious to see how the offense works. Obviously, they're one of the worst teams in the league at moving the ball last year. A lot of that has to do with Zach Wilson, Mike White, just the revolving quarterback door. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the offense is gonna be pretty good. Obviously, they have one of the top defenses in the league. So yeah, just kind of excited for that first look of that team. I mean, they're going to be at home, obviously, so it's going to be an exciting game. Obviously, going to be a close game too. The +2
Yeah.
at home, so odds makers still think the Bills are the better team. Um, yeah, I mean, I think this one could go either way. I know you feel a little bit strongly about it, so I'll let you take it.
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on here. I think one, a little bit of recency bias, let's say, but last year, first game of the season, the Bills had the defending Super Bowl champion Rams, and the Bills blew them out of the water. They came ready to play week one. I have a feeling under Sean McDermott again, that's going to be the same case. So that, at least knowing that they're for sure going to be ready, alleviates a lot of the uncertainty across the Bills. The Jets can't say the same. They've had a lot of distractions in the offseason with one, just Aaron Rodgers and all the baggage that comes with him, although I still love the guy. And then hard knocks too. There's been a lot of cameras in people's faces, and it's hard for them to focus just on football with that happening. I also think that the continuity factor for the Bills is a big plus for me. That this is a team that they're getting bringing a lot of guys back. Von Miller's getting healthy again. This is a team all around that isn't bringing a ton of new guys in, that isn't getting a ton of key skill players on offense back from injury. They're just rolling now with the same team they had and they're healthy, obviously, as well. But you get the Jets here with a great offense. Like Garrett Wilson, I think, is primed for an incredible, incredible season. You get Rodgers and all his cronies that follow him everywhere, like Alan Lazard and Cobb, that give this offense some life. And then, you got Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall in the backfield. So a lot of positives for the Jets. My thing is that Rodgers doesn't have a lot of stats with these guys. Like that chemistry outside of, his boys with Cobb and Lazard is not going to be there. And I think that's going to cause some issues early on in the season. And so I like the Bills here, who were the PFF's seventh best team overall last year in terms of overall grade, and Football Outsiders number one team, coincidentally, after the end of the last season in grade. And that's with some guys going down to injury, like I said, with Von Miller. So Buffalo, highest graded team overall in DVOA, second best offense, and the fourth best defense. This is all Football Outsiders DVOA, which is a very big correlated stat to wins. So I really trust these guys too, along with our PFF stats. Knowing all that, I think game one of the season, I'm ready for the Bills to come out steamroll again like they did last year and take this win. It's really at the -2 spread. It's who do you think is going to win this game? And I think I got to take the Bills here.
Yeah, I mean, also just a couple random points regarding this game. Uh, did you know did you know Corey Davis retired?
I did
Like,
hear that. Yep.
yeah, so that was, I mean, that was really confusing for me to hear. I mean, obviously,
Western
he's a
Michigan
former
legend.
Western Michigan great
Yeah.
legend. Um,
I love
anyway,
it.
yeah, I was really confused. I was like, Rodgers might be able to be the guy to finally unlock Corey Davis. Guess we'll never get to see that.
Yeah, I wish we could have, unfortunately.
And then on the flip side, I do think I think one thing that we didn't really talk about much, I think Dalton Kincaid, the rookie tight end from Utah, will actually be. I think he's going to blow up in this Bills offense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tight end. Dawson Knox has showed flashes, but he's never been consistent enough. I think Dalton Kincaid could finally be that really solid option at the tight end position for Josh
Agreed.
Allen. Just kind of add on to an elite option, Stephon Diggs. I'd say a lot of the other weapons in my mind are kind of good, but not great.
Yeah,
Kincaid might be the guy to finally elevate this offense, take it to the next step.
totally agreed. I think he's definitely got a higher ceiling than Dawson Knox. Another thing for this Bills offense, James Cook is supposed to step up, but I really need to see Gabe Davis step up too. Disappointing season for him last year. Diggs can't do it all in the receiving core here. If Gabe Davis plays to how he should play, especially with Josh Allen throwing the ball, this team should be better than even what we saw last year. And they were pretty damn good last year too. So I like the Bills -2 here. And I
For
think
season last year too. I mean, everybody wants to talk about the Chiefs and Eagles now. The Bills were in that conversation for the majority
the
of
whole
the year
time
last year.
they lost the pass rush when Von Miller went down, and that kind of was the beginning and the end of their season when that happened. They got pretty decimated with injuries too.
Von
Next game
Miller,
talking about.
Von Miller on the PMT podcast. I mean,
Oh yeah,
obviously, of his team, but he thinks Gregory Rousseau is going to blow up this year.
I love it.
And
Insider knowledge there. Next game we're talking about here, the most lopsided game of NFL Week 1. We got the Ravens at home, always dangerous, especially in Week 1, facing last year's #1 overall pick and worst team in football, Houston Texans, who had 2 top 5 picks in this last draft. So they got a nice chance to rebuild there too. Sliwa, I'll let you go first, and then I'll spiel all my stats.
yeah, I mean, obviously, this line seems pretty fair. I would give the Ravens about a touchdown advantage. They're at home, brings them up to the 10. Texans definitely got better this offseason, but they were the worst team in the NFL last year. I know they got the second overall pick, but Lovie Smith picking up that last game of the year win, going for 2.
We needed we needed
Completely
that.
pointless just to screw you to the Texans. But let's be honest, they were the worst team in the league last year. Yes, you got a new quarterback. Yes, you got a great new edge rusher and Will Anderson Jr. But I mean, just a couple additions isn't going to fix the litany of issues on this team.
Right.
You're bringing in, I think DeMeco Ryans is going to do a great job as well, but it's going to take time to turn this roster around. I think they made a huge mistake in trading their other first round pick to the Cardinals. I think that could end up being the #1 pick next year. I mean, only time will tell. Regardless, the Texans aren't there yet. The Ravens, great football team, bringing it back. Lamar obviously improved the wide receiving room. So I think the Ravens should destroy the Texans in this one. Just you're talking about a team that has the chance to win the Super Bowl versus arguably the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
One other to wrap up here. I mean, I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan. I was rooting for him since his first season in Cincinnati.
Hard not to.
Start in Baltimore. He got sacked 7 times, threw a pick, no touchdowns. I mean, just a very tough place to play. Obviously, a lot of excitement with all their additions and just bringing Lamar back when that was all in question. So,
yeah.
The Ravens, they got a perfect storm brewing there in Baltimore. This is like kind of a make or break season for them.
Yeah, it really is. If Joe Burrow can't handle, Week 1 in Baltimore, then neither can I. Got a feeling neither can CJ Stroud. We're talking about the Ravens here. Who we talked about Lamar Jackson, who was hurt last year and missed a big chunk of games. Even with that happening, the Ravens were still the 5th best overall team according to Pro Football Focus. They finished the season higher than the Bills, higher than the Bengals. These good teams, Cowboys, Dolphins, these teams that all played so well and made the playoffs last year, they finished higher than them. Now they get Lamar Jackson back completely healthy. You got Odell, who's completely healthy, hasn't played in a while, but he's healthy. Rashad Bateman, who I'm looking forward to make a big step this year, healthy. And obviously can't forget Mark Andrews at tight end. I don't know how you stop those guys, especially Andrews. But the real reason I love the Ravens -10 here is that this is a team that has long been predicated on the run game. No matter who is at quarterback, no matter who's at running back, they always have a strong offensive line, and their mindset is run the ball down your throat, first, second, and third down if they can. The Ravens last year were the second best run blocking team in football. And simultaneously, the Texans, who didn't address their front seven really all that much in the draft or this offseason, had the worst run defense. Now, you get D'Amico Ryans, who's a defensive-minded head coach, that can only do so much when you are devoid of talent in the front seven. I expect a lot, like 150. I could see a 200-yard rushing day for this Ravens offense. They don't need to pass the ball to win by 10. I think they absolutely, like, Lamar Jackson doesn't have to throw the ball this game, and they're going to win. I'm really excited to see the Ravens beat down the Texans here. I'm also really not a CJ Stroud guy, at least not yet. I'm just watching him at Ohio State. The fact that he had the best receivers in football. You get Marvin Harrison Jr. You got just so much talent. You're playing so little talent in the Big Ten. To see him do what he did and not perform as well as I thought he should have outside of that game against Georgia in the college football playoffs, I'm just not a big believer in the guy. And so all those things together, I love the Ravens here to win by double digits. I just think they blow them out. Who is, even let's say CJ Stroud is good, who is he going to throw to? Nico Collins? Like, that's your guy?
Right. I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of game breakers on that side of the ball. Like Marlon Humphrey should be able to lock up any
Of
receiver.
course. They got Roquan Smith. He's one of the best off-ball linebackers and run defenders in the game. Like, I'm pumped to see this game. The Ravens are going to be scary this year with Lamar Jackson healthy.
When we've talked about the Ravens for the last 3 years, it's always been injuries is the issue. It's game
Yeah.
one. It's game one. Yes, somebody could get hurt, but they're coming into the game all healthy. Like if you want to take the Ravens, bet them early.
Yeah, I said this in my Survivor video. Outside of Bill Belichick, if there's one coach that I know is going to have his team ready for week one, it's John Harbaugh. Dude, this guy, there's a reason, as we were saying this earlier, that there's a reason these guys always dominate in week one. It's because they take preseason so seriously. They win every preseason game. They are the only team in football that is at midseason form in week one because they take the offseason and the preseason especially so seriously that come week one, they hit the ground running when the other team is just getting their sea legs and they dominate. Look at the Ravens week one in the past few seasons, especially at home, and it is scary, their win margin. So I'm liking this one a lot. I tell you, man, I can talk about this one forever. I think I did a good job of at least convincing you there, because I'm ready for that. Okay, next game, Sleeve. I know you're all over this one. First divisional matchup that we're talking about here. Actually, no, it's not. The Bills and Jets were. AFC West divisional matchup. Broncos hosting the Raiders. A lot of changes for both these teams. Broncos head coach, most notably. Raiders, most notably, their quarterback situation. What are you thinking here?
Right. So when I'm looking at this matchup, you got to throw most of what you saw with the Broncos out the door last year. Obviously, Hackett, 1 year tenure, he's gone. It was just an absolute disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton into the building, Super Bowl winning coach. Um, already got rid of Russell Wilson's office. I mean, it just that
Yeah,
whole
that's
team was a
hilarious.
joke last year. Like Broncos country, let's ride. Like Russell Wilson was just all about the cameras. All the nonsense is out the door this year.
Yeah.
Treating Russell Wilson like a regular player on the team. He's not a part owner or anything like that. But the main reason I love this game or this matchup, and specifically the Broncos -4 in this one, is because they're when you look at both offenses, both defenses. I mean, the Raiders have definitely shown flashes on the offensive end, but when you look at the Broncos, their defense, in my mind, is the best unit in this game. Um, for much of the season last year, they dominated. They ended up finishing seventh in defense, but for the majority of the first half of the season, they were near the top. I mean, it's just demoralizing when you're constantly shutting out other teams and your offense can't even get a first down. Like,
Yeah.
it wears down on the guys on the defensive end. They're constantly out there to begin with because they're the fifth worst offense in the league. Um, one of the best defenses, and their bad offense made their defensive statistics a little bit worse or just drag
Yeah.
them down in that
You're on
regard.
the field for 40 minutes, 45 minutes a game. You can't sustain that high level of play when you're taking that many snaps on the defensive side. Your offense needs to throw you a bone. I
I
completely agree.
think about the Broncos a lot like how I think about the Jets. Just two teams with great defenses, and the offenses were just terrible last year. Obviously, the Jets bring in Rodgers, but The Broncos, you don't see as much change, but I do think just that head coaching change in Sean Payton is going to get Russell Wilson back on track. I mean, we mentioned that continuity. Russell Wilson's already been here a year. Yes, they did nothing last year, but he's at least familiar with his guys. Definitely gone through some injuries, but I just think this Broncos team has too much talent for the Raiders. Also, my take on the Raiders, yes, I mean they have Devontae, they have
I
Josh
don't think
Jacobs. So obviously, I mean some of the best weapons in the league, but look at the defensive side of the ball. It's extremely weak, other than like Max Crosby. So I mean, this is a good matchup for Russell Wilson to get going, moving the ball early in the season. Bringing back Devontae Williams, who's supposed to have a huge season at the running back position. I mean, a lot of this is just predictive. I mean, obviously
man.
obviously they're both bad teams last year. They're saying the Broncos are 1 point better, but I think what you've seen in the Broncos recently isn't their true value or their true talent.
Agreed.
I think they could play much, much better than they have. And just to throw it out there, I mean, from what we've seen with Garoppolo for the last 4 or 5 years, he plays to his team's level. This is gonna be the worst team he's been on in his career.
By
Like
far,
he
without a
doesn't
doubt. He's
does
had
not
Belichick and
understand
Shanahan, and now he's going to Josh McDaniels in this offense.
roster's level. Like if he plays to this team's talent level, they're gonna be garbage.
Gonna be
Like he
garbage.
Devontae better. It's not going to make Josh Jacobs better. Obviously, they're two great players, but he's not going to elevate this offense or make them any better than they were last year.
He's a
They've,
game
they've
manager
hit their
in this sense.
by week 8. Aiden O'Connell is going to be the starter in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and and Jimmy G's not known for like like you said, he's going to play to the level of his team. He's not going to step up, make spectacular plays. He's going against the fourth best team in coverage last year, and one of the best cornerbacks in the league with Patrick Surtain too. And that's certainly enough to mitigate Devontae Adams' impact. Also, you said a good game for Russ to start cooking here. They're playing the Raiders, who have the fourth worst coverage defense. I like the weapons that the Broncos have, especially Jerry Jeudy, but his status will be questionable this game. But regardless, you know that Sean Payton is going to be more prepared in this game than Josh McDaniels. And everything we said, every matchup here, besides the wide receivers, leans Broncos. Everything Broncos. Again, they're more than a 1 point favorite here on a neutral turf.
I mean, additionally, Sean Payton, he's been a great coach his entire career. He's been saying a lot of, I mean, hot takes as far as how bad this team was coached last year. But
Yeah.
he's not like a headlines guy. He's not exaggerating anything. He when he says how bad this team was ran last year, I genuinely believe him.
Oh
I don't
yeah. No, he's not.
give him a chance to win.
He's not a
Like
Rex Ryan
not
just say
saying
things
to
for
rile up the
headlines.
media.
Yeah, he doesn't do the shock factor stuff that other coaches do. He's gonna tell like it is. He's not gonna filter himself, but he's not gonna inflate whatever he's thinking.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's saying all this as a farce or anything. I think we're going to see a real true difference on the field this year.
It's gonna be 9 day. These guys are gonna come out with a fire week 1. I would hope, and I think we're all rooting for that. Here's the game, America's game of the week. It's not often the Bears and Packers play at 3 o'clock on a Sunday, but you got a real tight game against the two oldest franchises, with the Bears hosting the Jordan Love-led Packers here. I'll keep this one quick in terms of who I think is going to win because our bet's on the total. I don't really know. It's obviously a really close game. This is going to be the craziest that Soldier Field has been since Jay Cutler took them to the NFC Championship game back in 2012 when they played the Packers, 2011 maybe. There hasn't been as meaningful a game in Chicago in 10 plus years. So that factor is why I think the Bears are going to win. They have a pretty solid they have an average offensive line. They've been trying to improve on it. I think their willingness to get rid of Montgomery proves their faith in Herbert and the line and just the system. And then, bring in DJ Moore. And I really think the factor here, these teams are pretty even. I think the factor is going to be the home field advantage and how crazy Soldier Field is going to be. There's a lot of high expectations in Chicago with the Bears. And I think it's time for them to step up and live up to those expectations, at least a little bit. I'm not talking playoffs or anything, but we're talking close to 500 ball club.
Yeah, I mean, you always have those Bears fans who think we're going to win every year. I'm honest. Last year, I took the Bears. I bet on the Bears to be the worst team in the NFL last year as a Bears fan. So Dude, at no point during the season was that bet in the green until the very last play of the year.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm honest with my fandom of the Bears. But this team is going to be much improved. They're actually going to be exciting to watch on the field. Um, like you said, this is one of the most important games in Soldier Field over the last decade, especially with all the talks of the move. I know people are trying to get out there to see a game in Soldier Field before
hmm
anything does happen. And on top of that, I'm sure there's probably been one or two different guys in there mixed in, maybe with injuries or whatever. But other than Favre and Rodgers, this is like the first time we're going to see another quarterback start for the Packers in like our lifetime. Like
Don't forget
I'm
about Scott Tolzien
Oh,
from
yeah,
Legends. Scott
exactly. Yeah. So
Tolzien.
there's been a couple other mixed in there, but
Of
like,
course,
but like as far as like
Johnny
a
Flynn,
franchise pivot, like this
of
is the
course.
start of a new era for them. This is a chance for the Bears to go back on top.
This is Fields
In a
versus
very long
Love.
time.
Whose division is this? Justin Fields or Jordan Love's? It better be Justin Fields. I'm with you.
For Dan Campbell's.
Yeah, God, I hope to God it's not Dan Campbell. I did not because I don't like the guy, but it's the Bears' time to shine here. I'm going with the over here, Sliwa. Reason why Justin Fields has shown that he is due for an explosive play here and there. Every game, it seems like Bears' worst defensive rating in the league last year. They have made some improvements, but it's not going to patch up everything. They still got a lot of holes. Their linebacker core really, really stepped up in the offseason. I love that. But regardless, their secondary is still suspect. Packers 21st worst defense in the NFL last year, so not even above average. They were below average defense last year, surprisingly, even with a lot of the talent they have. So given that, it feels due for a big player too. And I believe in Jordan Love. As a Bears fan, I'm scared by what I've seen on film with him. He's got some talent, and I think it also helps that he was the understudy for Rodgers for a couple of years, similar to
Yeah.
what Rodgers did with Favre. You get to learn from one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So
I mean, yeah.
I think you're going to see some points. I think you're going to see some great throws from both quarterbacks, and hopefully a big player too on the off the legs of Justin Fields. Bears win. Give me the over. Chicago football's back, baby.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, the over seems like the easiest bet in this matchup. I hope it's not too easy to look at, but yeah, I mean, Bears explosive offense now, and just the defense, yes, improved, but
That's his
I mean,
point.
it's mostly been rookie additions. We're trying to build it up. Obviously, like Tremaine Edmonds is a huge pickup, but other
God,
than that,
I
it's
love
it's
that
been
move.
small additions. Try to progress. So yeah, the defense isn't there yet, but yeah, I think the over's a good bet here. Especially it's early September, weather's not bad yet in
Right.
Chicago.
Well,
So
you remember the first game last
I
season?
know it was a mess against San Francisco,
We beat the
but
Niners.
I mean, hey, global warming, man. There's like
Yeah,
100 degrees
I think some
all
crazy
the
stuff are going to
time.
happen. I'm excited for that game. Over seems like the right bet there. Here we got the Titans, who are a lot of question marks around this team with some older star players like Hopkins and Henry on the team. Tannehill, not a star, but he's getting up there, versus the new quarterback led by Derek Carr, Saints, Dennis Allen, head coach, in lieu of Sean Payton the last couple of years. This spread, if I'm just reading this box, Lewa, I read it as neutral side. These teams are dead even. They don't think it's going to be a defensive battle with this over under at 41.5 points. You're not going to see a lot of offense production on either team. Going to be a real close game at the end. Given that fact, I love the Titans here. And if you've watched these videos for a while, you probably know where I'm going with this. It's Mike Vrabel, head coach. I think he is the most underrated head coach in the league, and simultaneously one of the best coaches in the league, a top 3 coach, I would say. Does not get the credit he deserves for making this Titans team competitive year in and year out with the quarterback play that he has, with the defensive play that he has. He is one of the best guys out there. This all comes down to, I think that these guys they were down last year, uncharacteristically. Derrick Henry banged up, obviously healthy coming into this game. You got D-Hop, you got Tannehill healthy. He's incredible in play action in that offense. And really close game, Dennis Allen versus Vrabel. Give me Vrabel all day. That's all I'll say about this one. It's going to be a snoozer of a game, not one you watch until the fourth quarter. But I think the Titans are a better team, not on paper, but in reality because of their continuity, theme of the video so far, and their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on this one. Like you said, this one's gonna be a sleeper. I don't know how much I'm really gonna watch of this game, but like you mentioned, the total is really low, so it's gonna be a defensive matchup. This game might be decided by the field goal. So, I mean, I like the underdog at +3. If I could get the points in a real low scoring defensive matchup,
Exactly. That is the exact way to think about
give
this.
me the, give me the plus money in a game
Could
like
be
that.
Saints can
Uh,
win by one. Who cares? Give me the +3.
Saints are another tough team to get a good read on, and just your point
So
of continuity. Everything's just very new there.
you get
Kamara is
Kamara, but
suspended.
yeah, he got it.
Um,
You got it.
Kamara's gonna have his first start. I mean, we don't know how good he is either. Like he's one of the weirdest quarterbacks because he's played a lot of NFL games, but I can't really say how good or bad he is. I mean, he's very middle of the road type of quarterback.
He's
Um,
volatile, very volatile. Because he can make every throw in the game, but it doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. And he's
right,
good, but he's not like the good that we're talking about. He's not
but
playoff
just like
caliber good.
yeah, basically since like Sean Payton left this Saints team, though, there's just been no continuity, like we talked about. Like this team's just
Nothing.
never know who's playing
Rotating
quarterback.
door
Never
at every
know if Taysom
position.
Hill's gonna get a few snaps in there.
Yeah.
I just yeah, it's just not a team I feel confident in.
Yeah. I exactly. And you're not confident, take the continuity, take Mike Vrabel, always. We had another divisional matchup here. This is the Sunday night football game, which I'm pumped to watch as well. Always a great game. We got the Giants hosting the Cowboys. Cowboys 3.5 point favorites on the road, implying that they're about a touchdown favorite on a neutral site here. Big surprise for everyone last week, myself included, with the Giants, who ended up making the playoffs, and Brian Dable, rookie head coach there, his rookie head coach, winning coach of the year. Very impressive. Despite, if you look at Pro Football Focus, they were a bottom 10 team in overall PFF grade, despite making the playoffs. So very interesting there. But bottom line for me here is both teams, the Cowboys are so much better on paper, like without a doubt. On offense, you got guys like CeeDee Lamb, who was so impressive. Tony Pollard playing great at running back, strong offensive line. On the defense, my favorite player, and that side of the football, Micah Parsons, who just can do it all. Still, somehow, I'm gravitating back to the Giants here with this 3.5 because I think they're the better coach team. Mike McCarthy is not a good head coach in my mind. For
Yeah,
the
Kellen Moore is
Cowboys,
gone too now.
yeah, with Kellen Moore's gone, that's a big piece of their offense. And somehow the Giants, it just comes back to me thinking, like, how did they stick around in all these games last year? Every time they played a divisional opponent last year, the Giants stuck around. And so I'm going to go with that. Really, this doesn't make too much sense to me in terms of the Giants being this close with the Cowboys, but that's the reality that we live in. They know what they do well. They have, for the first time in a long time, the Giants have a better offensive line than the Cowboys do. They got guys stepping up on the defensive side, like Kayvon Thibodeau. Look at him make a jump in his sophomore year, kind of the same way that Parsons did, and not in the same capacity, but hopefully a jump. Run the ball behind Saquon Barkley, get the ball to your new tight end, Darren Waller, and play good defense. That's what the Giants did all last year. And that's how they stick around in games. They might not win this one. I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but they stick around in games. And Daniel Jones, who you can't quantify what he can do because he just seems like such an average, awkward quarterback, but he gets it done when he has to somehow to at least compete, especially using his legs. So I like the Giants
Yeah,
here.
Daniel Jones on the ground is very underrated. Like, I
Which
mean,
is so
he
weird.
doesn't look that fast. I mean, he's just a bigger built guy. Like, he could take a few hits.
Yeah,
He
he
could
is.
move well enough. So yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit on all the points I was gonna get at. But yeah, I just think Dable's the better coach here. Like you said,
Without
the
a doubt.
Giants, according to PFF hated the Giants all of last year, consistently towards basically the bottom 5 teams in the league while still making the playoffs. I saw a stat the other day. The Giants had the most snaps for players under the age of 26. So they're trending up. They've
I
they
like
played
that.
the youngest players in the league last year. A lot to learn, a lot to grow. I think they're going to continue to get better. Just with Dable out 1 year under as head coach, resign Jones, resign Saquon, pick up Darren Waller. I mean, the pieces are coming together for me there. And then on the other side, I mean, just a very small move, but almost a little bit telling. I mean, yes, everybody wants to say Dak's a good quarterback, but then he doesn't show up in the playoffs. And then they pick up Trey Lance. Just a small but maybe just something to look out for. They might not trust Trey Lance's or Dak, obviously as much as you think.
Especially with his injury history. The guy throws so many picks, dude. He's due for a pick
He
any
played
point in
terrible
that
last
game.
year. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you're thinking Trey Lance is going to roll out there and be your starter,
Sad.
yeah, I mean they just don't feel too confident at that quarterback position.
A lot of X factors on both sides of the ball. But Cowboys had more X factors. I think they probably win the game. But again, prime time, divisional opponent on the road. That's a recipe for an upset every single time. Prime time game on the road against the divisional opponent. That's what happened to the Eagles last year. That was their first loss last year against the Commanders with Heineke. It's like
Yeah,
it just gets set up for an upset. It's brewing an upset every time. I think we're in great company here, taking the Giants, adding the points there at home against the divisional opponent. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. Here we go. We got the Super Bowl rematch from a few years back. A little different quarterback situations now, but we get Jalen Hurts, the Eagles, and the Super Bowl runner-ups last year taking on the Patriots. Mac Jones recovering from that ankle injury, coming back here. I'll tell you what. I'll keep this one a little bit shorter as we're rambling on this video. But the plus 4.5 for the Eagle or the Patriots. I'm sorry, looks kind of enticing to me. I like the way they play football as an underdog. Like they're going to play good defense and they're going to run the ball, so they're going to kind of control the game a little bit more. That being said, this offense is way too one-dimensional, I think, to beat the Eagles and how good their defense is, who were the top defense last year. I think they're both teams are going to try to run the ball well, as that's what both teams are built off of. But Jalen Hurts, mobility plus throwing the ball to guys like AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, give him another step up this year. Great cornerback play for the Eagles with James Bradbury and Darius Slay. Going to make it really hard for Mac Jones to pass the ball in that offense. Again, too one-dimensional for the Patriots. I think the Eagles win this one. I don't love 4.5, so I'm going to make it 2.5, and I got to think the Eagles win this game by a field goal.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I just don't think this one. Yeah, you could really overanalyze. I mean, the Eagles are the better team. The Patriots obviously well coached. I just think yeah, Mac Jones is not going to get enough time because he's not mobile enough. Obviously, we all know that. The the Eagles are going to create way too much pressure. I mean, they had one of the best pass rushers in the league last year to
Dude, they
begin
got to
with.
steal with Jalen Carter in the
So I
draft.
was going with this, and then
Oh,
you add in the best. I mean, you're getting so much pressure up the middle with Jalen Carter. I mean, I've only heard good things out of him from camp. So
monster.
yeah, I mean, this Eagles team, the rich just keep getting richer, and I think that's going to
They had a
continue.
great draft. That was a steal with Jalen Carter. Yeah, I forgot about that. They're going to be just as good as they were last year, I think. Um, I think it's the Eagles' year. I think they got it this year, honestly. Last game we're going to talk about here. We got another divisional game. Rams on the road against Seattle. I think these teams were polar opposites last year. Seahawks, incredibly low expectations for everybody, including ourselves. And they really outkicked their coverage, I think, and overperformed last year, made the playoffs, and looked really good. And I think it's a big testament to head coach Pete Carroll, who's been there for a long time. And the Rams, who started the season off competing, they were the defending champions last year. And after Stafford went down, the wheels really fell off and they looked horrendous. Didn't have any first round picks to really build up in the draft, at least with high rated prospects. But you get guys like Cooper Kupp and Stafford back, and I think this team moves in the positive direction this season.
Yeah, no,
Hard
I
not
think
to for how poorly they played, but go ahead.
right. No, I mean, like you said, the wheels fell off when Stafford got hurt. Cooper Cup went down. I mean, they don't have the bodies. I mean, that's still the case this year, but they're just healthy again. I
Yeah.
mean, and then if you look at the early games, I mean, yeah, the Bills took care of them in week one, but I mean, the Rams were more competitive early on, and then yes, they're coming off the Super Bowl the year before that. And then looking on the flip side, Seattle, they're putting together a pretty well-rounded team. Obviously, JSN, so they have one of the better wide receiving corps now. I think that's going to be a tough matchup for the Rams in this one. But I mean, Gino played by far the best season of his entire career last year. So I know we've talked about this before, but just that natural regression, or if Gino plays even anywhere near how he has the whole entire rest of his career, like this is a completely different team than what we saw last year.
Exactly. One season doesn't make a trend. I'm gonna lean back on and rely on just the body of his whole career versus last season. His whole career has said this isn't a above average quarterback. That's not who he is. And maybe he turned over a new leaf and he figured it out. But history says that this guy is not the dude. I certainly rather have a healthy Matt Stafford at quarterback than a healthy Geno Smith. So even that, it gives me edge here. Cam Akers, people are talking good things about him. Obviously he's healthy, got a pretty decent offensive line there in LA. Again, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, Sean McVay been scheming all offseason. I'm going to tease this one a little bit. I think the Rams can keep this one in single digits. You got to think. I am scared about the offensive weapons that Seattle has, but I think people are really underrating the Rams just because they phoned it in last year. I think they gave up. And especially when you're not playing for a first round pick, then, there was no motivation last year. There's nothing and internal, external, nothing. So I like the Rams there. You can see here, teasing them up to 11.5. Just to recap our card, Bills, Monday Night Football. This is one of the better teams in football. A lot of continuity there. This team's been there before in the high-level games. Can't say the same thing about the Jets, especially now that Rodgers is the quarterback. I don't think he's got enough reps there where he's got the chemistry that you see is so valuable when Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. Ravens here, -10 is our lock. Again, one of the best run offenses in football consistently throughout the last 10 years, as long as I can remember, quite honestly, playing the Texans, who have one of the worst defenses in football, the worst run defense in football, and again, a team that really didn't do much to address their front seven to stop that. Slee, your picks, the Broncos at -4. You like that one the most. Tell me why.
Yeah, I mean, I love the defense. I think the Broncos defense obviously blows the Raiders out of the water. I just think this is going to be comeback season for Russell Wilson. Like we talked about, no nonsense. Russell Wilson's office is gone, his personal assistant, all that stuff. They're treating him like any other regular player. Sean Payton's going to flip this team around and just get them to play up to their actual talent level. I mean, the talent's there. They just got to play to the level. And then on the flip side, I think Garoppolo is going to bring that team down a level. I think the Raiders are going to regress even after they were a good team.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in the head coach over there, McDaniels. So agree with you. Bears Packers over. Bears, one of the worst defenses in football, even with the additions they made in the offseason, that can't cover up every patch. And Packers they were a bottom 10 defense last year too. And again, with the quarterback situation in Green Bay, I do think Jordan Love is going to flash some talent here this season. And what better opportunity to do it against one of the worst coverage teams in the Bears. This next teaser here is a bet on, week one divisional matchups for both these guys. You got to love the underdog in the divisional matchup, especially with not a lot of film. These guys are going to come out ready to play. The Giants, especially at home, prime time, you can't get embarrassed by your divisional rivals, especially week one. And then the Rams, I think, are a lot better than what we saw last year. And I'm a believer in head coach Sean McVay too. Finally, the last one I threw in there, a makeshift teaser here. I like the Titans, we said, in a close game, low-scoring game. You can't tell me I would be shocked if +10.5 does not hit for that because it is supposed to be like a 25-15 game. Supposed to be like a 24, 21-20 type game. So you tell me they score more than 10 points, they're going to cover that. And then Eagles here, you got to think they come out ready to play.
Defending NFC North or NFC champs. I mean, the Patriots aren't what they used to be. And I think, obviously, we still give Belichick that credit, but, I mean, Eagles should show up. I'm liking the card a lot. Obviously, we got a big one.
Dude,
full card.
I'm pumped. We got a good card. We got a real good card. This is going to be a clean slate, clean sweep.
There we go.
All right. That's all the time we got, Steve, but we'll recap in week 2 and see how we did with all our great picks here.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Good luck, guys.